Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So today we're going to talk about how temporal chains, this blessing right here, has basically ruined what is probably one of my favorite teams. Now, on your champions, it's fine, but you got to be very mindful against enemy teams who have this blessing, because my team, I'm going to show you guys in just a second, was actually ruined, and it took me a while to figure it out because of an enemy having this blessing. So this blessing basically decreases each enemy's speed for each active buff they are under, which is very crucial, very key, and I did not understand at all why my team was being messed up. So the team I want to talk about today is this Kymar, Mithrala, Molly, and Rhodos team. Basically, this team was designed to counter those Kymar and Hegemon teams that are faster than me. So perfect example right here, we have a fast Arbiter, ideally. We have Kymar, Kandrafon, and Madame Ceres. So I kind of know how this team's going to work. Basically, Arbiter is going to boost, Kymar is going to sleep and place the strip, Madame Ceres is going to strip, and then Kandrafon's going to nuke. Well, my team's goal is for my Mithrala to cleanse, Kymar to sleep, Molly to provoke, and Rhodos to kill. So what's going to happen is their Kymar hits me with the A2 ability. Molly's passive ability will boost the turn meter of all my allies. So therefore, I should be able to boost Mithrala and Kymar into the gap between the enemy Kymar and Madame Ceres / Kandrafon. So with this team, typically, it's very, very important that the turn order works as intended. So here we go. We have their Kymar doing their A2 ability. Madame Ceres gets the strip off, but we do still cut in. So now my Mithrala is going to cleanse all my champions. Kymar is very, very close in speed tune. So my Mithrala is like 277. Kymar is 275. And those speeds are very, very important. I'm going to show you why it gets messed up in just a second. So this match is perfectly fine. Nobody on the enemy team has temporal chains. It's no issue whatsoever. So here we go. We go ahead and take my Rhodos. We start killing everybody. Turn on auto. And it's going to be pretty easy. This team was honestly one of the most consistent teams for countering those Kymar teams. I've been loving it. I was using it all the time in 3v3. I was using it in Classic Arena. I even used it some during one of my recent plat pushes. And it worked very, very well. But recently, I've been changing up my champions. I've been playing around with my champions. But I try to make sure that I never change up the champions who I use a lot in these different matches. So let's go ahead and click this match, okay? So we have the enemy Mithrala. She does have temporal chains. Now let's go ahead and jump in here. I will be faster than this team, so there's going to be no hits from the enemy, no potential enemy evil eyes activating, no potential turn meter reduction anywhere from the enemy whatsoever being activated. I checked my Kymar and Mithrala both for any possible masteries, such as Cycle of Revenge, such as anything possible that could be manipulating turn meter. There was nothing there. There was nothing possible. So my Mithrala is sitting at, she has 109 base speed, which is very important because the aura from Kymar is based off this base speed. So we're getting a 30% boost to the 109 base speed. If you have a champion with higher base speed, but lower overall speed than a different champion, their overall speed may be boosted above the other champion, depending on how close they are. But in this situation, it's not an issue. So Mithrala, 109 base speed, total of 277 speed. My Kymar has lower base speed by quite a bit at 103, 275 total speed. So there's really no reason that my Mithrala should ever be going slower than my Kymar. Plus, she has super high resistance. So against any champion such as Valkyrie, anything like that, who's going to be reducing my turn meter, she should resist that anyways because of how her passive works. But now let's jump into this match and see where the issue arises. So now my Kymar's going first. Now against a team like this, it's no problem whatsoever because here we're not getting touched. We just use the A2 ability. Mithrala can go now. She can cleanse. It's not a problem. Heck, it may have even been better that the turn order went how it did. But the huge issue arises when I'm using this team against the designed team it's meant to counter, which is Siphi plus Kymar, whatever champion plus Kymar, Arbiter plus Kymar. Basically what happens is the Arbiter goes, for example, the Kymar does the A2 ability, and then my Kymar gets the first turn, which is wrong. It's completely wrong. So what's happening, and this is how we're going to fix this, okay? So basically my Mithrala, she's in stone skin gear. It took me so long to realize that. Maybe way longer than actually should have, but I was just racking my brain. Why are some of these teams, my team, getting thrown out of whack? But since temporal chains reduces speed for each active buff an enemy has, they're reducing my Mithrala's speed by 2%. So that 2% decrease in speed on her total speed of 277 is going to be a decrease of times 0.02, 5.54 speed. That's a pretty decent drop, especially considering that she's only 2 speed faster than Kymar. So she's actually being slower than Kymar now. Now that's just at level 1 of temporal chains. At level 3, it's going to decrease by 3%. At level 5, it's going to decrease by 5%. So if you're thinking, hey, well, I can just make my Mithrala 5% faster than Kymar. Well, how much speed would she need to do that? Let's see. So if we have 275 times 0.05, she would need to be 13 speed faster than Kymar. So if you wanted to keep her in Stone Skin, you could make her 13 speed faster. However, you have another slight issue that arises. If your Mithrala is 13 speed faster than Kymar, before any auras or anything like that, doesn't really matter. But if she's 13 speed, almost 14 speed faster than Kymar, you have a higher chance of her cleansing, then an enemy cutting in, and then maybe your Kymar getting crowd controlled again. So with this team, you want to make sure that everybody is very, very close in speed. So what I'm going to have to do is basically take her out of Stone Skin. The other option would be immunity, but immunity brings the exact same buff, and once again would be reducing her turn meter. Now the good thing is she doesn't typically get hit in these matches because it's typically a Kymar doing that A2 ability, and there's really no damage actually coming out. So what I want to do here is take her from being in Stone Skin gear, and for this video, I'm going to throw her in a set that's actually going to work, and we're going to see if we can go against one of these teams that I lose against and actually work fine. But after the video, I'll probably optimize her stuff a little bit better. So here's a pretty good example, okay? This team has a temporal chains, has a Valkyrie and everything, okay? We're going to jump in here. We'll probably lose, but then I want to rebuild my Mithrala and show you guys how it's actually supposed to work. So there we go. Kymar took the first turn, Mithrala took the second turn. Had my Mithrala been the first to go, Kymar could be coming up with that sleep right now, and it'd be perfectly fine. So I could boost Mithrala's speed, run the risk of possibly being cut in against some teams, or better yet, just go ahead and go in here, take her out of Stone Skin, put her in Perception, anything, doesn't really matter, and then try it again. Now, one thing to be mindful of is if you plan to use this team to counter Hegemons, this isn't really going to work. Simply because if she's countering Hegemons, they can sometimes run taunting gear, stun gear, a piece of gear that has crowd control effects. If they do that, accuracy or accuracy resistance, whatever you have on your Mithrala, it's not going to resist those effects. Gear sets don't need accuracy to land, so you do want Stone Skin or immunity to actually counter those. So if you're doing this build of Mithrala, you're going to have to decide, do I want to counter Hegemons or do I want to counter Kymars and work around temporal chains as well, which is becoming a pretty popular blessing to see in the arena. Now with this build, I can probably get her higher net resistance because her accuracy goes into her resistance. But like I said, for this video, I'm just going to switch the boots. I'm just going to make it a bare minimum build basically. So right now she's sitting at, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 800 total resistance. After this, I can probably push her up over 900. Shouldn't be too big of an issue. But now we have the team fixed. I'm hoping this is correct because I'm not even 100% sure. Let's go ahead and see how this works. So now Kymar does the A2 ability. Mithrala is in the correct turn order now. Now she can do the A3, cleanse everybody. Kymar comes in, hopefully, and uses the A2. Granted, the Valkyrie does manipulate our turn meter because we are placing buffs on everybody, but Kymar does the A2 ability. My Molly comes in with her A2 ability, provokes everyone, and then our Rhodos just comes in. We gotta kill Hefrak because Hefrak's gonna be a nightmare if we don't kill him. We come in here, kill Arbiter, and you can use this team really against anybody, okay? If it has Kymar in the team, this is an excellent, excellent option. You can use Sathalia. I've done a video talking about this team specifically, but the main thing I want to talk about, the main thing I want to mention is that not only in this team, but a lot of other teams, if you have 1 or 2 champions in Stone Skin or Immunity, you got to be very mindful because if you're going against teams where your speed tune is super, super important, especially when you're using such tight speeds as I am in this team, which is literally 2 speeds apart, you want to make sure that if you have a champion in Immunity or Stone Skin, that it's not one of the champions who are absolutely crucial to be going in a certain turn order. Because that team, like I said, is a team that I used very regularly. And then all of a sudden, it just broke. You won't notice it all the time because not a ton of champions run temporal chains, but you will notice it. It definitely does have an effect, and it's pretty significant when it does. I went from winning majority of my matches to all of a sudden just losing all the time. I didn't know what was happening. Now, this team does still counter Hegemon. It's still going to be okay. Assuming the enemy Hegemon, actually, he's not even going to decrease speed of Mithrala, should be perfectly fine. Assuming the enemy Hegemon doesn't place stun, sleep, whatever on Mithrala or Provoke, then you're going to be perfectly fine. But if it does, you got to be mindful that a lot of Hegemons do run those sets, so you are running the slight risk of that happening. But if it doesn't happen, then you're going to be fine. So it's up to you if you want to risk the RNG. I think this build is far, far better. Like I said, this team is one of my favorite teams to run. Very, very consistent win rate. You can use really any DPS damage dealer here, but Mithrala works excellent. She has the increased attack and increased defense, so your damage dealer is going to hit even harder. The cleanse is amazing. Kymar's reset is incredible. Heck, I might even throw my Valkyrie, my damage dealing Valkyrie in here. She may be pretty good. She'll help me even more, even do better against those teams who are significantly faster than me. So like the Sifis and Kymars, things like that. Champions who have a lot of buffs, Valkyrie will do very, very well. I'll try that out in just a second. But Kymar, single target champion, probably going to do a little bit better in most situations because those single target champions just hit so hard. Whereas with an AoE damage dealer like Valkyrie, things like that, it may be a little bit longer to actually kill everyone. You can still do it. You can definitely still try it, but something to be mindful of. Let me go ahead and try my Valkyrie. I recently built her for damage dealing, but I just wanted to make this video for you guys, share it with you all because it took me a while to actually realize that. Some of you probably already realized that, of course, but in case you hadn't, I wanted to jump in here, show you all what I've learned, and hopefully stop you from wasting a bunch of resources and realizing, wait, why is this team actually not working? Not understanding what's going on. So hopefully this clarifies some things. It makes a little bit more sense of the craziness that was happening. Provoke everyone, except for Mithrala. She's going to cleanse. Okay, she didn't. We use the A2 from Valkyrie. She kills everybody, basically. Let's come back around. Kymar didn't get the reset. I kind of want to take the counterattack stuff off of Kymar. Well, actually, take it back. He's counterattacking because of Valkyrie, not because of counterattack stuff. So now we come back around maybe to Valkyrie's turn. Counterattack versus Mithrala and Petrification and Hex isn't always the greatest thing, unfortunately. If we can get back to Kymar, we're going to be fine. So we boost turn meter, should be able to provoke. We'll just cleanse with Mithrala. Shouldn't be an issue. Provoke. Maybe eventually do the cleanse and then the nuke from Valk, and we should be okay here. No increased defense, unfortunately. Increased defense does boost the damage quite a bit. You could use any damage dealer, like I mentioned, though. You could use Thalia, like I mentioned before. Like I did a video on this previously, so you guys can see a more in-depth dive into the team. But the team is very good. How the team functions, hopefully you guys can understand. Basically, it's a kind of like a go 1.5 team. You don't go first, you don't go second, but you cut in on the enemy team. Kymars, Hegemons, Ramen actually works pretty well also. As this team works pretty well as a counter against Ramen. Any champion, Lady Kimmy, any champion who's going to be hitting you, and then there's going to be a pretty big gap between the fastest champions and the slower champions, this team's going to work very well. Because Molly's turn meter boost is what allowing you to fill that gap, and her turn meter boost is activated whenever she gets hit. So it's excellent. But guys, hopefully that helps you out. Hopefully you can jump in there, rebuild your champions as needed. Just be mindful. If you're using Mithrala in this kind of build, you may want to consider switching out Stone Skin or Immunity. You can throw in Reaction if you plan on getting hit. I don't really plan on my Mithrala ever getting hit in this team. I will optimize her gear a little bit more. May throw Reaction on her just for future matches potentially. But with that said, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.